What's up and welcome back to Dragon Ball Super Chapter 45 Leaks, and we got some very interesting stuff here, as well as some rough translations. Take those with a grain of salt. So we got here Moro powering up, and a little bit later we'll see where he's getting the power from, possibly, but we're moving on to, of course, Vegeta and Moro's fight. This is a really awesome panel here. I'm loving the face-off here. Sorry, I'm pretty sick, so bear with me a little bit here. This panel here is pretty awesome. Like, nothing's being said or cluttering up the page or anything like that. Vegeta looks freaking cocky and confident as all hell. And it looks like he's Super Saiyan Blue, possibly even Blue Evolution. But we go on to our first dialogue page. And here, if my translations are correct, again, take it with a grain of salt, if you will. Moro is obviously getting Vegeta on surprise, and I think he's kind of talking down to him, saying that you can't hold a finger to me, you are a small fry. And in the bottom right corner of this, you see that Moro's kind of gathering energy, and we will see where that energy is coming from in a second. But we move on. He's hitting Vegeta with a massively powerful blast, and it's obviously affecting Vegeta. And that's, again, some really cool looking art here. I mean, I'm really happy with the way it's looking. But moving on, we got a picture of Moro, and this looks like just the cover of the chapter of Moro, and you see Vegeta on the left here. And over here, Vegeta is surprised. Now, this is when we get into the very big stuff here. And if this is correct, Vegeta is saying here that he can't go Super Saiyan, meaning that Moro has most likely taken his power. And whether or not how permanent this is yet to be seen, but this is some major stuff. Like, there's a lot of people in the community that have been talking about, you know, there's too many transformations. What if, you know, it'd be cool if the Saiyans just lost their Super Saiyan forms or their ability to transform. So this is really interesting, and I think it has a lot of potential, especially when it comes to tension. I think if the Saiyans can't go Super Saiyan, that is a huge detriment to their overall power. And I think it can, like, make everything a lot more interesting. But man, I mean, who called this out? Vegeta loses to Moro. I'm so surprised. But moving on, that's obviously probably a little later in the chapters, because we see here that Vegeta is dodging Moro's pretty wicked looking technique. Man, this is, oh man, that is some cool stuff. Moro is getting better and better each chapter that goes by, man. But we go on to Maris, who obviously him and Jocko are probably up there kind of monitoring the fight. Obviously, they got their dynamic, because remember, Goku and Vegeta instant transmissioned there, and Maris and Jocko were going to be there in a second. So, we go on to Maris. What does he say here? It looks like he's just kind of commenting on Moro's technique. He gathers, now here's where the energy comes from. He gathers the energy from the nearby star, like all of the energy. And he says as long as something remains, it's possible for Moro to use up all of the star's energy for this massive attack on Vegeta. So I think he uses this attack against Vegeta, and then a little bit later, like after that, he will absorb Vegeta's power, or use his magic somehow to make it so Vegeta can't go Super Saiyan. I mean, that's the most logical turn of events there, but anyway, moving on. Here Vegeta's saying that's like some sort of trick, or what kind of trick do you have up your sleeve? He's talking about some sort of technique or trick that Moro is. And of course, this could be the very beginning of the chapter, when Moro's like taking his robe off and he's getting ready to fight Vegeta, and Vegeta's like, what kind of trick do you have up your sleeve, you know? And here we get a really good reaction shot of Vegeta being surprised. Didn't see this coming, of Vegeta being surprised at how skilled Moro is, or how his magic's working, or whatever. But here, Moro is saying something like, it seems to be praising Vegeta somehow. I could be completely wrong, of course. And of course, the English translations aren't always a one-to-one translation. So Moro seems to be praising Vegeta on his knowledge. Like here, Vegeta says, like, what kind of trick do you have up your sleeve? And Moro's like, oh, it's like good of you to notice. Like, you have some knowledge that you can tell that I'm hiding something. But here, Moro looks like he's kind of explaining his magical ability, possibly, and that magical, or maybe the absorbing skill can be used for other uses. Of course, he's powering up, and all this freaking hiragana here is just him yelling. And again, another cool looking panel, man. Like, this chapter is looking really great, I think. Like, not too cluttered. I mean, the one with Maris kind of explaining what's going on is slightly annoying because I think Toyotaro has a tendency to overdo that. But what do you guys think? Do you think Toyotaro overdoes that? I think he does. So let's go on to Maris and Jocko here. Now, obviously, like I said, they're probably up there in Namek's orbit, New Namek's orbit, looking at the fight. And Jocko is asking about the energy sucking technique. And Maris is just explaining that Moro, now this is interesting. If this is accurate, of course. Maris explains that Moro doesn't only suck the energy, but he sucks the life energy as well. Meaning that which really actually reminded me of Tien's Kikoho technique, which uses up his life energy, which is why it was so dangerous when he used it up against Cell, and also why it's so extremely powerful because it actually uses up his life energy. But and of course, we kind of already saw this in chapter 43 at the very beginning with the flashback between Moro and the Supreme Kai. So there's that too. And then here, of course, related to the earlier panel when it looked like Vegeta went into Blue Evolution, we have the ex-Frieza soldier commenting on it, asking if Frieza powers up again, because, or it could be him powering up from Super Saiyan God to Super Saiyan Blue. We will have to see. But here we get a really cool shot, yet again reiterating how cool this chapter is looking so far, of Vegeta just staring Moro down. And this is probably when he goes blue. And he's in this next panel, he's flying, and this angle is really cool. And this is, of course, you can see Moro's energy, and this is when, related to the earlier panel, Vegeta going and dodging all of Moro's attacks and stuff like that. And this is probably before Moro kind of absorbs the star and attacks Vegeta. But oh man, this is probably my favorite panel so far. What do you guys think? Now in this panel, it looks like Vegeta, of course, is having his usual cocky attitude and saying, hey, you're hiding your true power from us, aren't you? And this is probably what Moro is responding to in that earlier panel that I showed you guys. But yeah, man, that seems to be what Moro does. And we don't see much of Goku in here, so I'm thinking the majority of this chapter is probably just Moro versus Vegeta, and Moro kind of just showing a little bit more of his magic powers. What do you guys think? Do you have any like predictions or anything like that for this? I think it's looking pretty cool, man, and Moro's looking more and more interesting as time goes on. All right, yeah, I guess that's it. Things are looking really cool. Thanks for bearing with me. I'll try to get the English review out as soon as possible. Try to deal with this little cold here, but as always, thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and of course, take it easy.